cavity. Today we are entering in the first part, the first step of the gastrointestinal tract, because oral cavity have the contribution for formation of the food bolus. Whatever the process is for that, whatever the grinding, cutting, tearing, whatever the chewing process, these all are possible by the oral cavity. Once we discuss onwards, you can see all the parts of the oral cavity by yourself. The oral cavity is divided into two parts, and for that you have to remember the alveolar arches of the upper jaw, lower jaw. So the first part, it is called the vestibule. So what is the vestibule? The second part, that is the oral cavity proper. So vestibule means this is the slit-like cavity of the oral cavity, which lies between the whatever the alveolar arch. You can feel yourself within your oral cavity, that the space that outside the alveolar arch, the slit-like space which is present between the inner aspect of the buccal as well as the labial part and alveolar arch. This is the vestibule. This part of the vestibule, it is folded and it is covered by the mucous membrane. This membrane, which is start from the buccal mucosa, then the labial part, and it is folded itself up to the gums. The vestibule is important because there are the openings of some duct. The main important duct which is open into the vestibule, and that is the duct of parotid gland. This duct, it is open into the vestibule of mouth opposite the second molar tooth. The crown of the second molar tooth, there is opening of the parotid duct. The second name of parotid duct, it is called the Stenson's duct. In addition to that, into vestibule there is opening of the many mucous gland which is present into the lips, which are present into the buccal mucosa. One more, there are 4 or 5 glands are there. These are called the molar glands, which are present on the buccopharyngeal fascia. See, there is the communication is possible. Once you open your mouth, there is the communication is present between, freely communication between the oral cavity and vestibule. But once you close the mouth, the only communication between these two parts is by behind our third molar tooth, and that is the wisdom tooth. So in the closed part, there is the communication only possible, and that is by the retromolar region. Now about the oral cavity proper, and for that the boundaries you have to remember. Just close your mouth and you can palpate the boundaries by the movement of tongue. So oral cavity, it is laterally, anterolaterally, it is bounded by the presence of the teeth along with the gums, along with the alveolar socket. Oral cavity, it also contains the roof, it contains the floor. You can palpate the roof, that the roof, it is formed by anterior 2/3 part. It is by the hard palate. Once you go more backward, the posterior 1/3 part of the roof, it is formed by the soft palate. Once you follow, once you see, in the midline from the posterior margin, the anterior part in the hard palate, some 4 or 5, there are transverse lines are present, and these are called the palatine folds. Once you follow hard palate backward, there is the smooth part is there. In the floor of the oral cavity, it is mainly formed by the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and the space lies below the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. The tongue, there is the separate lecture is there, but you have to remember the main parts of the tongue that are usually divided into the 3 parts, that is the anterior 2/3, posterior 1/3 and the most posterior part. You have to remember these 3 divisions because it is easy for you in remember. These 3 parts are originated from the different pharyngeal arches. So it's easy to remember because every one part has the general and special sensory divisions are there. Once you open your mouth in front of the mirror and you can see whatever the aspect is present of your tongue, this surface, it is the dorsal surface, anterior 2/3 dorsal surface is there. Once you observe your tongue with the naked eye observation, you can see there is a the projections are present over the tongue. And you already, I think, learned in histology, these are called the papillas. Many of the papillas, these are responsible for the taste sensation. The papilla is given the name according to the whatever the size, whatever the shape of the papillas are there. It's like there are presence of the filiform, fungiform papilla. Then there is the circumvallate papilla. Then foliate papilla, which are more prominent in the animal like rabbit. And on the microscope, you can observe the papilla simplex. So these are the papillas are present. You have to remember the dorsal aspect. Once you follow the ventral aspect, you have to use the word that is the sublingual region. The floor, it is mainly formed by the sublingual region. Sublingual region, that the part of the oral cavity which is present below the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. So below this part, you can say it is bounded by the ventral surface of the tongue, and below there is presence of the floor. It is formed by the diaphragm of the mouth, which is formed by the 2 sides of the mylohyoid muscle. And this sublingual region, it is covered by the mucous membrane. In relation to the ventral aspect of the tongue, you have to remember some word. You have to remember that this mucous membrane, the thickening of this mucous membrane from the ventral aspect of the tongue in the midline, this is start from here and is attached to the floor of the mouth. So the attachment between the ventral surface of the tongue with the floor of the mouth. So this midline projection, that is called the frenulum. This is the frenulum lingulare. The important structure in the floor of mouth, the second thing you have to remember, the lower end of the frenulum nearer to the floor of the mouth, there is again one muscular thickening is present on the 2 sides of the frenulum is there, and that is called the lingual papilla. And over that, there is opening of the duct, very important duct is there, that is called the submandibular duct. The Wharton's duct is opening into this papilla. Once this mucosal fold is going backward and laterally, it covered on the 2 sides, it covered the one gland is there, and that is the sublingual gland. So this part, this fold, it is called the sublingual fold. The structures which are open into there, these are many or most of the sublingual ducts, the ducts of Revinus. These are open into the sublingual fold. In other than this, on the ventral surface, you can observe yourself on the sides of the frenulum, you can observe the bluish color discoloration is there, and that is the presence of the deep lingual veins are there. Again, there is fimbria like the irregular muscular projection is there over the ventral surface, and that is called the plica fimbria. So these are the boundaries, floor, roof, and lateral boundaries by the alveolar arch. One word you have to remember, what is the meaning of oropharyngeal isthmus and the function of oropharyngeal isthmus or isthmus of Faucis. What is this? This isthmus means the limitation. The oral cavity is limited anteriorly from the lips up to the posteriorly oropharynx. And the demarcation between these two parts, between the pharynx and the oral cavity, there is formation of the oropharyngeal isthmus. How it is formed? For that, in the above, it is formed by the soft palate. Below, there is presence of the tongue, and on the sides, you can see here that, see, one anterior, the projection is there, which is start from the uvula, this fold, which is going downward and laterally. This fold, it contains the palatoglossal muscles, and it is going towards the tongue, on the sides of the tongue. So the first one fold, it is called palatoglossal fold. Same way, the second one, the posterior one fold is there, which is start again from the uvula, which is going downward and laterally, which contain the palatopharyngeal muscles. So this one fold is there, and that is the palatopharyngeal fold. You can see one structure, the dark purple color structure is present in between, and this structure, it is nothing but the collection of the lymphatic tissue which is covered by the mucous membrane. This is the only one lymphatic organ which is covered by the mucous membrane, and this is called